All right, this is Glenelle P. Bryant. It is March the 16th, Saturday, and she is going to talk about her adventures at Disneyland. And you are on.
Well, you want to know when we got there?
Yeah, talk about when you got there, how you won that prize.
Disneyland had been open only a few weeks when we arrived in Disneyland. As soon as we could get enough money together to pay for 5 people to get in Disneyland, we got in the old Pontiac and away we went, which was only a few miles from Disneyland. The first time we went in a theater type place from the outside. We were curious to see what we were going to see inside the place. Inside we found 2 families up on a stage being quizzed about I don't know what, but anyway, one family won the prize, which was, I don't know, whatever the prizes were that day. And I asked Frank, or maybe he asked me, if we would like to be on that show ever. And I said, well, sure, if we could. So he went backstage and signed his name and telephone number, and evidently wrote, I don't know if that's when he wrote down the children's names or not. Anyway, I thought that would be the end of it. Of course, he didn't. He just knew we were going to get called, which the phone rang one day, and it was Disneyland calling and asking me if I would like to be on the show. They had changed their whole program, and instead of using the whole family, he assured me that all the family could get in free. We could get in free that day. If I would be on the show, they were using only the mothers, 2 different mothers, and their families could be there, but we were the only 2 on the stage. And we were having a contest of who knew the most. Randa says one of the questions was, how many Februaries do we have 28 days a year? And I probably missed that one. I don't know. Anyway, whoever won 2 out of 3 of the answers won the prizes for the day. So I was shaking a little, but anyway, she declares that somebody blurted out the answer to the last question, which was something concerning the different lands in Disneyland, and in which one would we find a tiger, something like that. And she said someone from the audience yelled out the answer, but I think she made that up. But anyway, I spoke before my opposing person was. So I won the prize, which included a dinette table and 4 or 6 chairs. I don't remember which now, which we got delivered and started using right away. I won some silver from jewelry from supposedly a famous Italian composer, and that's the only 2 things I remember, except the golden key to Disneyland, which would include all the family and myself, as long as I lived, to get into Disneyland free anytime we wanted. As many times, it didn't matter. So we were quite jubilant. We went outside and met, I swore he was my famous cousin, Vincent Price. You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about my name. That was my middle name and all that. And he was very, very nice. And the, what do you call the man who was doing it all, the ABC?
The MC.
The MC Uh, we had a good time out there after we went out of the theater, uh, just talking to each other. And Vincent Price spent a good part of a few minutes, talking to us. Now, do you want me to go on into the next time we went back?
We'll talk about is that the Easter egg hunt?
Yeah.
Please.
So we didn't go back again. That must have been, let's see, it was in the early spring, must have been some way, because we were there for Easter. And all in the news, Disneyland was getting all the news it could from mainly the newspapers. And they were having an Easter egg hunt for the children. And they were to bring their own basket. And there would be a golden egg to be found by the children. Well, that's the coldest day that ever happened. The coldest Easter that ever came in California, I'm sure. It was freezing that day. The weather was really bad, and a lot of the children didn't show up that were supposed to be. So they had their circle, or wherever they put the children, full, and Curtis didn't get picked to go in it. Of course, he was very disappointed. We stood there. He stood there with his basket. They started the Easter egg hunt. And they didn't have as many children in as they thought they did, so they picked a few from the bystanders and told them they could go ahead and be in the hunt. So that took Curtis in. So they had the Easter egg hunt with the cameras there and put the little girl up in her fluffy, beautiful dress for advertisement of Disneyland, that she had won the golden egg. We got in the car and left. Too cold to stay there. And on the way home, Curtis says, I really won the golden egg. I really found the golden egg. We said, no, you didn't. He was 4. He said, I did. I found it. I said, well, what'd you do with it? He says, a woman wouldn't let me pick it up. She said that egg was supposed to be found by someone else, and she wouldn't let me have it. I said, Curtis, do you know what color gold is? Yes, I know what color gold is, he said. I know gold when I see it. And it was the gold egg down there. And he insisted the woman would not let him pick it up. So I knew he was telling the truth. So when we got home, Frank called the office back at Disneyland and repeated the story. And they confirmed it then. They didn't deny it at all. And they said the weather had kept the crowd from coming in like they should have been. And it was all set. The little girl of probably one of the bigwigs around there was set to find the golden egg. It was planned ahead of time. And Curtis found it before she did, and they wouldn't let him pick it up. The people were out to take her picture there, the newspaper people, I guess. So, of course, Frank was a little adamant. And they said, well, we will give you, they said, we will give you and the family free passes into Disneyland. And we said, keep it. We already have free passes to Disneyland. I had won the golden key to Disneyland. So that's about the way it ended as far as the Easter egg hunt. But I wondered a lot, even then, why anything honorable would rig it so it was more or less false, a false ad, whatever. But Curtis seemed to be a little satisfied that at least we did find out he wasn't making up the fact that he alone had found the golden egg, but wasn't allowed to pick it up. So that seemed to satisfy him. So that was that was the story of the egg hunt, on the first egg hunt ever at Disneyland in California.
Okay.